Hi Vera.
Hi.
So far, what do you know about Marco Polo?
He walked 500,000 square miles. Europe's China.
Okay. What is the trade of Marco Polo's father?
A merchant.
What is a merchant?
A merchant is someone who trades.
Very good. Who sells goods?
Yeah, goods.
Okay. How many years did Marco Polo stayed in China? How many years?
24 years.
Very good. 24 years. And who did he serve? He served as a spy to a ruler in China. What is the ruler's name?
Kublai Scan.
Not Scan. Kublai Khan. And who is Kublai Khan?
A ruler.
Yeah, what is his relationship to Genghis Khan?
Grandkid.
Grandkid, grandson. You understand? Okay, good. So Vera, what was the trade of Marco Polo's father and uncle?
A merchant.
They're merchants, right? So what are merchants?
Merchants are someone who give goods.
Not give, they sold.
Sold goods.
Yeah, that's what they do. And how old was Marco Polo when he met Kublai Khan? Do you remember? He was what?
He was
He was 21.
21.
21 years old. And how long did he stayed in China?
24 years.
Yes, 24 years. So almost half his life, right? And who was Kublai Khan?
Kublai Khan is
Was?
the grandson of Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
Genghis Khan.
Yeah. So Kublai Khan, 30 years after Genghis Khan died, they finally conquered China. The most important land that they conquered, China, Vera. So you see, the map of the old Mongolia was so much bigger than the present-day Mongolia. You understand? Because before, they really conquered a lot of lands, making their territory so much bigger. You understand? So, after the 30 years after Genghis Khan died, the ruler of China back then was Kublai Khan. That was his grandson.
I know, but you want to know something weird? He has so many wives. Isn't that like cheating?
No, it's not cheating. Because at that time, Vera, it was acceptable when you're a ruler. You can have as many wives as you can. Because back then, if your wealth can support having more than one wife, it's okay. Especially if you're powerful. You understand? Like in other religions like Islamism, you can have more than one wife, Vera. You understand? As long as you can provide for them. Okay?
You see this book? This
Yeah.
is one of the wives.
Yeah, that's
This is
chubby.
This is his favorite
Yeah.
wife. That's like you're saying you're chubby.
No,
Chubby.
not chubby. Chubby. Chubby was his favorite wife. Why? Because Chubby is the one of the wives, but she's the one that's diplomatic and she understands different customs and cultures of people that they rule.
She's so
That's
cute.
why she's the favorite. She's chubby.
Yeah, she's so chubby.
Anyway, yeah. So you see,
This is Marco Polo.
Marco Polo became like almost a spy because Kublai Khan is very entertained with his writings. Whenever he's asked to be assigned to a new land, he would write it in a very entertaining way. All the discoveries that he saw. For example, because there's a lot of differences in terms of the technology, the ways of living, if you compare Venice and China. Like for example, paper. The paper back in China is lighter, right? And comparing it to the parchment paper that they use in Venice. Okay? Because in Venice, Vera, the paper that they use, it is made out of the skin of animals like goat, pig. You'll see it when we go there. Huh? And if you lived in the time of Marco Polo, if you're gonna be one of the kids there, most likely you're poor, you're uneducated, because instead of teaching, instead of sending their kids to school back in the days of Marco Polo,
They trade. They're merchants.
they teach whatever the trade of the father is. For example,
Yeah, like
if your father is a merchant, then you'll be a merchant too. If your father is an accountant, then you'll be an accountant too. So they just pass on whatever is the trade or their source of living. You understand? Another thing, they don't have toilets. So they use pots to poop. And they use whatever they have, haze, to wipe their butts. And if that pot is full of manure, they would just dump it into the canal. Okay? So Venice, even right now, and even back in the time, actually right now, it's still made out of different islands. But back then, Venice was a superpower trading city. You understand? A lot of people there are merchants. And then at the same time, from Venice, they sell the goods from Venice, they trade it to different countries, Mediterranean countries,
and
through the Adriatic Sea.
And they trade spices and silk.
Yes, those are the two common goods. That's why Asia was sought after. At that time, salt, pepper, cumin, cinnamon, they're very valuable. It can buy lands. You know why? Because at that time, European countries, they don't have a lot of spices, so food was bland.
What's bland?
Bland, it doesn't have any taste. Because the spices, it's used to make the food tasty, to flavor the dish, right?
But it'll be spicy.
No, I mean, it makes things flavorful. It gives aroma, it gives taste to the dish, right? That's why it's sought after.
Kinds of things like cinnamon.
At that time, the product of Venice that they trade was salt. They get the salt from the sea and it was dumped in the lake, and then they can trade those salt, because at that time salt was valuable. You understand? You get what I mean? And at that time also, if you're living in the time of Marco Polo, most likely you're married by the time that you're a teenager.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, that's how even
but that's
like
too
in my
young.
grandma's time, they also do that.
Yeah, it's too young.
Yeah, it's too young. Yeah. So, do you like the book? You're now in chapter 7, so continue reading. So later you'll be finished.
Also,
the things that you learn in the book, when we see Venice tomorrow, you will see, wow, this is what I read. This is the paper that they used back in the day. You understand?
but mommy, when the teenagers were married, it's like you're saying babies got married when they're born.
Something like that. When you're a teenager, you're not really prepared yet to bear a child. You know? You haven't developed that much yet. That's why a lot of people died at childbirth. You know? Giving birth to a child, because they do it when they're teenagers. Because at that time, that was the normal practice. Also, Vera, in the time of Marco Polo, he was so amazed about gunpowder, because the Mongolians and the Chinese, they use gunpowder. They use it for firecrackers to signal a message. For example, if there's a strike, or if there's rebellion, they use firecrackers to send message that they're being attacked, something like that. You understand? Also, Marco Polo was so amazed by the communication system that Kublai Khan used in his empire, right? They have pony riders. That's their mailman to send his message. So there are stations around his empire, and if he wants to send a message, Vera, the messenger would ride a pony and would go to a station to rest and exchange a pony. You understand? There's a pony waiting, so he could use it, because ponies can get tired, right? He rides ponies in different stations. So that's, at that time in Europe, they don't have any system of a mailing system or a messaging system at that time. So he was so amazed. When they were in the Middle East, Marco Polo saw these wells that produces oil. You understand? Because back in Europe, they use vegetable and animal to light, to keep a fire burning. That's their oil. This one is really oil from underneath the earth, the one that we use now as gasoline to power vehicles. Back then, they already have that technology. You understand? So he was like writing it all in his journal, all his discoveries. You get what I mean? That's why Marco Polo became so popular. Even pasta. The reason why Italians have pasta, it's actually from the noodles of China. Can you believe that? You know, the art of pasta making, it's actually from the Chinese culture because they're the one who had noodles first. And even
But it doesn't look Chinese.
even printing books. Back in the time of Marco Polo, it was literally copying word by word. If you have to copy a book, you literally have to write it word by word. There's a scribe who would copy it.
Okay.
So there's a tendency that it won't be that accurate, right? But the Chinese, they don't use that. They have their own printing. They use blocks of wood, and then they carve out whatever they're trying to print, and then they press it on paper, which is a better way than writing it word by word. So these marvels of Marco Polo, he puts it all in a journal. And when he was jailed, there's this writer that he met, and that's when he started writing his journals into a book. That's why he inspired a lot of explorers like Christopher Columbus, Vasco da Gama, to circumnavigate the world and to explore other lands. Because at that time, you see, you heard of the airline Cathay Pacific? We always ride that, right? At that time, the Europeans, they call China Cathay. You understand? They call it Cathay. And they think that China or Cathay is at the edge of the world. You understand? Those who are navigating through ships. And they also believe in legends that are not true. They think there are sea monsters in the sea. That's why only few people are brave enough to explore other lands by ships.
Same with me. Legends are not real.
They're not real. So unless you explore it and you're brave enough like Marco Polo, that's when you discover the truth. Okay? Okay, continue reading.